Today's episode of Crime Crazy is brought to you by Audible. Now, fans of Crime Crazy Podcast can get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/crimecrazy. They have over 180,000 titles to choose from, and you can listen on your iPhone, your Android, your Kindle, or your MP3 player. www.audibletrial.com/crimecrazy.
Okay.
I'm really excited about my story.
I'm glad. I hope you like my story.
I am sure.
I told you my second one was short, but it's kind of funny, so it was like a good note to end on.
Right. Does it have a tiger?
No, but I had to think about that for a second.
You had to think about whether or not it had a tiger.
I know. I was like, oh my God, what's the story?
Hey, Jordan.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Wait, we didn't do our thing.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Welcome to Crime Crazy, the weekly true crime podcast with Eryn
And Jordan Middleton.
where we prove
That we know nothing about our legal system.
but we're still crazy for a good true crime story.
Cue the music. No, just kidding. I don't think the music goes there.
No, that's not where the music goes. Usually the music goes before that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I was just singing it in my head then.
Well, you can sing it.
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
know the music?
Yeah.
So, hey, Jordan.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for the coffee.
Absolutely. I feel like it's been forever since we've done this. I was really going through withdrawals.
I think it's because this is the first time we're back on track.
I know. It's not Tuesday. We're not even back on track.
Oh, shit. Somewhat back on track.
Kind of back on track.
Well, you're lucky that I did not get stuck in New Jersey because we would have had to make it off track even more. But luckily I got home.
I mean, last time we recorded, I edited the same day, like in the same sitting.
Yeah, that was crazy.
It was crazy.
Because I
like,
got
I'm just gonna
home.
do
I think
this.
we had lunch or something.
Yeah.
Or dinner or whatever meal it was. And then I got the text and I looked at Mike and I was like, there's no way. But
Well,
that
I
was
got
insane.
really tired of remembering at like
Oh my God.
9 o'clock on Monday night that I had 3 hours.
Sorry, there's a huge spider over there.
Where?
In the window.
Is it out or in?
Out.
Okay. Where?
I was just trying to say that so you weren't scared. It's in.
It's in? Where is it?
It was crawling on the window like the blinds.
Okay.
Okay.
David!
No, I'll keep an eye out and then
No, we gotta kill it now. Where is it?
I don't know, I lost it.
Jordan!
I was trying not to worry you. It'll probably stay over there. That's my new philosophy in life. Like, it'll just probably stay away.
How big is huge?
Like,
Okay, like huge.
well, yeah. I mean,
She's fine because I'm the barrier between the window and her.
I'll keep an eye out.
In order to get to her, it has to crawl over me.
I know. Well, now that we're back on track, and I said if I got stuck in New Jersey, we would have been off track.
Right.
But
And I said I got tired of realizing at 9 o'clock on Monday nights that I had to edit an episode
so you
to
did it
release
all
at
in
midnight. So I got it done early. And you know what? It was still 11:30 Monday night, and I was like, shit, I forgot to schedule it to be posted. I got to go get my computer and log in.
thank God you remembered.
Right? I am not good with the summer. There's too much free time, and I just can't remember what day it is.
Yeah, that's what it is. You lose track of days. And I kept doing that up there, and I was like, wait, is it Saturday already? Like, what day is it?
Okay, we're back.
Oh.
Spider is dead.
Yeah, the spider's dead. Yours truly.
It was
ran
hilarious.
over there.
It was
Couldn't breathe.
hilarious. She snuck up on it.
I still don't have my breath.
A flip flop,
And then,
and then went ah.
yeah, and I couldn't breathe. And then I started coughing because I was like holding my breath the entire time walking over to it. So now I'm like short-winded. I don't know why, but, well, because I couldn't breathe. And then I sacrificed a boot.
Yeah, my
Sophie's
daughter's boot.
Well, she's not here to use it.
No, she's not. And she can't fit it anyway. She's way too little.
Oh, okay, good.
So, all right. So, here we
Again.
are, back.
Back at it.
All right. Episode 21 is going great.
Okay.
All right. So, Jordan, any stories you didn't do this week?
I have a lot I didn't do. And if my computer didn't crash on me for me to lose all the stories I wanted to do, I would remember the names of them. So this morning, because I got them all yesterday, and I just left all the tabs open, and I was like, all right, I'll write them all down tomorrow. We got this. No, this morning, opened it, computer crashed, had to restart everything. I went to, like, revive the pages that had crashed. Nope, it said no pages, and I was like, you mother... I was so mad.
Oh.
So, that's okay. But I found a really good one, which is, okay, I was watching Criminal Minds. So, and I keep seeing this problem come up, and I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm going to try to find a story about that. So, I got a good one, and then a short little funny one that we'll end on later.
Excellent.
I'm excited.
Funny crimes, always good.
Always good. What about you?
So yeah, actually I knew what story I wanted to do, and so I sat down to research it, but I couldn't remember any of the keywords. I just remembered it was about twins.
Oh.
And so it was one that we looked up way back when we started the podcast.
Oh.
Yeah. So I now remember what that one is. I'm going to do it next time, so we can't talk about it. But I found a different story about twins that turned out to be fascinating. So that's the one I'm going to do. But my other one is creepy and weird, and I'm excited.
I'm excited. I found a bunch of old stories that we looked up at the way beginning, and we even did our tester episode, including these ones.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, how funny would it be if I was like, okay, guys, now that we've been around long enough, this is what our tester episode sounded like.
Right. Oh, my gosh. Can you imagine if we published that one?
Oh, the sound quality is so bad.
The sound quality was so
No
terrible.
one would get through it, but it was so good for our first on the whim run through.
Yeah. And I think it was even better than our very first episode we recorded and put out.
Yeah, because then the pressure was on.
Right.
Yep.
We knew it wasn't anything real.
Yeah.
And now we're like, we just don't care. Fuck it. We'll just talk.
They'll listen or they won't.
Right.
But I am excited about this story. You're going to love his nickname. But do we have anything important we need to talk about?
Quite possibly.
Okay. I didn't want to start if you had stuff to say.
Oh, you're just saying in general? I thought you were talking, trying to remind me of something.
Oh, well, I don't know. We were like, okay, we have to say this. We have to say this.
Yeah, no, I do have a list.
Okay.
Actually, I'll just say one of them now. Most of it's stuff at the end, just reminders and stuff. But I should, since we're starting this episode and everybody is starting to listen at this point, say that we are still accepting submissions for the Crime Crazy 20, hashtag Crime Crazy 20. So basically, now you're about to maybe sit and listen to us for an hour. Sometime during that hour, snap a picture or a screenshot and post it to social media and tag it with our name, so Crime Crazy Pod or wherever you put it. And then also tag it with Crime Crazy 20.
Yeah.
And we're going to choose a bunch of people to send stickers to.
Yeah.
So
that was I think more or less I was saying we have important stuff to say because I didn't remember what we should have said. So I was cueing you as my own memory.
I gotcha. Okay. You made me very nervous. I was like, oh no, what are we going to talk about? I don't remember. Do I have an announcement to make? I painted my bathroom. I don't know.
That's kind of nice. Oh, that's funny.
All right. No, you are welcome to start your story. I'm excited.
So my story, I'm actually dedicating it to somebody.
Oh, somebody special.
Oh, yes. So finally, my best friend Lindsay started listening.
On episode 20.
Yeah, and I was like, well, we have plenty of episodes to
right.
listen
She just
to.
wanted to make sure she had a backlog.
So she's been listening to them at work, and she's about to go on a car trip next week. I think next week. And she'll be driving by herself. And she said that yesterday she was going to download some of our episodes to listen to on the way there. Because that's what her boyfriend did when he came to visit her. He listened to podcasts, and she was like, oh my God, you did? So I think it clicked in her head that podcasts are cool.
Right.
And I'm your best friend. So she started listening. And I was like, it was almost making me cry. I was so excited. I was like, oh, thanks. So,
Lindsay, I'm sorry that you have to listen to us.
Oh, no,
but I'm glad you're listening.
Sorry. She loves it now. So I told her this morning, I texted her and I said, next week's episode is dedicated to you. And she said, oh, or something. I said, well, don't get too excited. It is a crime podcast. So
we're going to commit a crime in your honor.
So then she was like, so now she's real nervous. But this one.
So does this story have something to do with her?
With her trip. It's a crime about where she's going.
Oh, great. You're going to scare her to death on the way there.
Yeah.
She's going to get halfway there, listen to the episode, turn around and come back.
No, she'll probably be freaking out. And then, because that's where her boyfriend lives. So she'll be like, oh my God, is this happening? Like, what happened here? Where was this? But this was before, kind of like, actually before both her and I were alive. And maybe, no, not him. He was alive. He was just little. So
I will have been alive and old at this point.
He's kind of closer to your age than he is to ours.
Oh, yeah? Like your boyfriend.
Well, yeah, he is your age.
Yep.
So that's different.
It's not that I'm weird for hanging out with little kids like Jordan. It's that they're weird for hanging out with old people like me.
I only have teacher friends. Do you see this? Like, besides Lindsay
true.
and Sarah, like, and Jenna,
you
I see her sometimes. But
your age.
No, they've always been older, and it's always been teachers. So every time someone talks about the school system, I'm like, oh, I know exactly. Blah, 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 blah.
Right.
All right, guys, I hope you're ready for this story. It took place between 1991 and 1992.
Yeah, I was in middle school.
See?
Elementary school.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So
like somewhere in there.
So Eryn's not that old. Don't let her make you
super
think that. So our bad guy of the day, his name is Thomas D. Husky, and he was 38 at the time. He was also known as the Zoo Man.
So this one might have a tiger in it.
That's why I said, wait, I had to think.
Oh.
So the funny one doesn't, but this one probably does.
This one probably does. She doesn't know. She never knows what's in her story.
I don't, not until I read it.
Somebody hired to do her research, and they just write it up, and then she's like, all right, here's a story. It looks like it's about a zoo man.
It's like, I wonder what that means. Let's find out.
Oh, wait, he's not a gorilla.
That's true. Be like, no, he just walks around like one. So... he's called the Zoo Man, and we'll get to why in a little bit.
When she learns.
Yes. Where I have the different asterisk note down here. That means it's important. Okay. The Zoo Man only sits in jail for raping 4 women, but not for killing them. Oh no, I'm going to make you guess. Even with a confession and trophies found in his bedroom at his parents' house, he was not convicted of killing these women.
He lived with his parents.
Well, come on.
Yeah.
So, do you have any guesses why?
Why he wasn't convicted of killing them, but just raping them?
Mm-hmm.
They die of something strange?
No.
What?
You have one more guess.
Does it have something to do with the zoo?
No.
Okay, so,
no animals were involved in the making of the story.
Was there another person involved that might have been the murderer?
You could say that.
It's never twins.
No, it's not twins this time. So guess what it is?
What?
He has DID. So he said that he has another personality named Kyle.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
Who killed them. But he said, yeah, I raped them. But Kyle killed them. Kyle was collecting the trophies.
So is Kyle in prison for their murders?
That's what I wanted to say. I want to be like, well, bring Kyle forward, and then we'll try again.
Right.
So
you go to jail for rape. He goes to jail for murder. Like,
yep.
We're all in this together.
You guys can share a room. It'll be great.
So is he in prison or is he in, like, an institution?
So currently, he's in, like, a correctional facility.
Oh, okay. So
yeah,
prison.
He did confess that a man named Kyle who lived in his body, this is how he's like said it.
Oh, wow.
Had done the killings. Like, he didn't do the killing. Kyle did.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
But he knew about it?
I think that it's one of those cases, and like there's 1,000 Criminal Mind episodes with like,
well, and everything, like,
yeah, because they're the ones that said like, oh, it's not split personality anymore, right? It's DID, right. Or so they went off of that, and I feel like he was aware of what Kyle did in his body, but he couldn't stop him, type of thing, because that's how they let it on.
So was the rape related to the murder? I'm assuming so.
So, hold on, let's read.
Okay, because I have a technical, like, crime legal question later.
See,
if they're related.
I feel like they have to be related in a way, you know?
Well, because if you commit a felony, like rape, and while you're committing the felony or in that same, like, crime, somebody dies, you're as guilty for the murder as if you had committed the murder. Like, if I break into someone's house with somebody, with, like, a guy, and the guy shoots the homeowner, I'm guilty. I can go to jail for murder.
Yeah.
So then he should go to jail for murder, anyway.
Like,
even if
knowing about it and didn't come forward or something. They should have found some loophole, but he pleaded insanity. So
really, they should send him to an institution.
Yes.
But I don't even know the story yet, so.
But we're just, like, really jumping ahead. We just want to have all of our guesses out at the forward, and then we'll figure it all out.
You started it with the guessing.
I know. I like it, though. So, his nickname Zoo Man was given to him by local prostitutes because he worked at the elephant barn. So he's like I don't know about a trainer, maybe like a cleaner or
he scooped
some
poop.
Guy, feeder, I don't know, at the Knoxville Zoo in Tennessee.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So October 1992, a hunter walked up on a body in some of the woods in like East Knox County and it would, like, you know, call the police. So she ended up being a prostitute. And they realized that this location in the woods was very popular for prostitutes to bring their customers.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of like a little, not like a den, but it had like a little, not a shed, what is it called? Like a lean-to type thing. Uh-huh. And it was a little cleared in the middle of the wood. I know. I'm like, ugh.
That's exactly where I want to take an unknown person for sex.
I guess you're saving money, but not having to buy a motel room?
Yeah,
because every other movie, they just go to a motel room, you know?
Right, or near the back of the car.
Yeah.
I'm sure you won't get murdered in the middle of the woods.
Well, that's why I was like, if it was a popular place.
Well, that's true.
So there must have been, like, different people there all the time, like, you know?
Right.
In and out. I don't know. That's just weird. So, her name, the one who they found, was Patricia Rose Anderson. She was the first body that they found. Over the next few days, 3 more bodies were found, both all naked and strangled.
Oh.
Yeah. So this
strangling is
This is what makes me think that the rapes have to do with the murders because they're naked.
Yeah.
He probably raped them, obviously, first, and then had to have just strangled them right there. You know?
Right.
Or, like, you know, rape them, strip them, and strangle. You know, however the order was.
Right.
It was all in the same time frame.
Right.
It was like he went back as a different person.
And they were just still waiting there for him.
So
yeah. And it's not like he kidnapped them and locked them up and like one personality did one thing and one personality. But
well, that's what I was thinking. I was trying to like figure out because they say that the personalities can switch when it's like high stress or
what was
trauma
the trigger,
or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, if he was doing the stress and the trauma, why would that switch to his other personality?
True.
Because Kyle was no nicer than him.
But it could have been... No, I would imagine Kyle's like the dominant, like scary protector person if he's the one doing the murders. So here's my question.
He was the one who came in and cleaned up the mess. Like, oh, well, now you raped her. Now I have to go kill her because she can tell. Maybe that's it.
But do we believe him? Like, was he evaluated and some psychiatrist who's reasonable says... Okay. Or did he just watch too much Criminal Minds?
So, well, you could say the same thing about me. That's not good. I just, like, watched 6 episodes this morning alone, like, in a row. Oh, my God. I had to finish the new season. I was like, I need to finish this right now. So one of the police department investigators, his name was Tom Presley, he recognized the spot in the woods, and that was the place that he arrested Husky 2 months earlier. Mm-hmm. So...
For... not prostitution, but
2 women claimed that he took them there, tied them up, raped them, and robbed them.
Oh.
So 2 women got, raped by him, but did not die. So Kyle didn't kill them. But he walked because the prostitutes wouldn't testify against him.
Why?
I have no idea why. It's not like... I don't know.
I wonder if they would have had to, like, admit to some of their crimes, like, I was looking for like to sell sex, but
because they claim that he did it, but they didn't want to testify in court, so he got away with it.
Which is really a shame.
Yeah, right. So the police department acted on this tip from the investigator, Presley, and tracked down Husky to his parents' home, which is where he was living.
Of course.
That's where they found they found him, rope, pornography, and jewelry that they believe that he stole off of the prostitutes' bodies. So kind of like trophies.
Yeah.
So even with all of this, Kyle still did it. And he got really lucky. I hate to use that word. But the evidence was all thrown out because the warrant to search the property came from a city judicial commissioner and not the judge. So they claim that as a mistrial because the warrant didn't come from the right place.
Why would you ever get a warrant that wasn't coming from the right place?
See, that I didn't understand that either, but what they did, they went off of this investigator was like, oh, well, 2 months earlier I arrested this guy because, he was there at the spot with prostitutes that he raped and tied up.
Right. And now there are more sex workers who are raped. Yeah.
So they just went off of that, and I don't think either they got a little too eager and they didn't want to wait for you know what I mean?
Right.
Which I understand because he could be doing it again. So you want to try to get him off the street.
Yeah.
But if you're going to use it in trial, I feel like you got to do your due diligence.
Right. And
do it the right way.
I wonder if there are circumstances where you said it was a commissioner.
Yeah, a judicial commissioner.
They can write warrants that are valid. And so, because otherwise, why? I mean,
because it was a valid warrant, but the evidence that they found, the judge was like, well, no, you can't use it in the case.
That's so bizarre.
Right? I know. I was like, okay. So the first, and this was to the trial, to where he had little evidence from what this was saying. He had little evidence that he actually did have another personality named Kyle, that normally these things start when you're younger and you're on medication for it or something.
There was some sort of abuse and it's
something. Yeah. But if he was still living at his parents' house, you know what I mean? With his parents.
Right. It didn't have to do with them.
Yeah. So I was like, you wouldn't stay there unless you had to. So all of that little things added up for me that I was like, are you just saying this?
Right.
But there was nothing else saying that he was evaluated or that a doctor told him, yeah, you do have it, because they just automatically decided that he was going to plead guilty. But guilty to the rapes because that's what he did do because he's insane. They just did the whole insanity thing. So he said, yeah, I did rape them, but Kyle killed them.
I mean, if he has some sort of disability like DID, it would make sense that he would still be living at home because he wouldn't maybe be able to live by himself.
Yeah. Well, that, and I was thinking socially. But then if you have a job at a zoo with elephants, you know what I mean? I feel like that's
requires
a big job. I don't think I'd be qualified at all to go in there.
It depends. I mean, just because you work in the elephant barn doesn't mean that you ever interact with the animals.
And that's the thing I was confused about, because one article kept calling him an elephant trainer.
Oh, okay.
So then this one just said he worked at the elephant barn. That's why I called him Zoo Man, because that's where he came from.
Right.
He kind of always smelled like that.
Smelled like elephant dung.
Yeah. So that's why I was
he was a really attractive customer.
Was he really around the elephants? So, I don't know. I feel like that's kind of a higher qualified job. I would not go accepting a job with elephants and be like, I totally know what I'm doing.
I'm just not always me. Yeah. Sometimes I'm somebody else.
And he knows what we're doing too, so don't worry about it.
Right.
So, anyway, back to the trial. The first jury to hear the case was totally deadlocked. They did a whole mistrial. That was in 1999. So that's when everything from the warrant got thrown out. So they couldn't even...
So there just wasn't even enough evidence.
Yes. So, after that...
Was there DNA evidence from the rapes?
I think so. I think I remember reading that.
Okay.
I'm trying to... Well, yeah, because he was kind of like, yeah, I did it. He had no problem saying he did that. But he just didn't want to kill them because that was Kyle.
Right.
Which, I mean, it could have been Kyle. I'm not saying he's a totally liar. Maybe Kyle
maybe
only
not.
Comes up once in a while. But... after two juries found Husky guilty of the rapes committed before the killings, because that's what the order happened in 2005, the judge finally tossed out the murder case altogether after prosecutors just gave up. Yep. So all these families had waited all this time, and his family, like his son, was like, I'm just so grateful it was a mistrial, like it was a blessing in disguise type stuff, like defending him. But then these families of these 4 girls were like, no, that's not fair.
Right.
We've been waiting, and our heart's been tearing for what it happened in 92. This was in 05. Like,
right.
That's too long to tug at someone's heartstrings.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, oh, this sucks. I don't want to read this. So he was, he was sentenced to 66 years
for the rapes.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, but he was up for parole in 2015.
Oh.
But I cannot find anywhere anything about his parole hearing.
Interesting.
So either they took it away, because this article was the newest one I could find, and this was in 2012. Mm-hmm. So it said within 3 years. So I was like, all right, well, it's definitely been after that. So unless there is some sort of time limit where they can release it, and since it was only 2 years ago, maybe something like that. But besides, I cannot find a single thing about his parole hearing.
Well, I mean,
unless it was taken away.
Well, right, he could have done something bad when he was in jail, or in prison. If he wasn't well behaved, or if Kyle tried to kill his roommate or something like that.
That's why, and I couldn't find anything after this article. This was the newest article I could find, and it was making me so mad because I want to know what happened.
Yeah.
So
I was having that issue with my case too. I feel like we need a better research plan.
I know. Well, that's why I was thinking, I was making myself so frustrated trying to find this answer. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, what if there's like a 3-year rule and then they can release information? I don't know. They just
televised OJ's parole hearing.
Well, I know, but that was so famous, and Vegas, Nevada is so lenient on law. Like, they, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so maybe it's like Florida, how there's always more crimes in Florida just because they can legally release it. Right. Maybe Tennessee has like a weird 3 to 5 year rule, and then they can release information on it.
We need some friends who are like lawyers or...
I know. All right, guys.
Court clerks.
Anybody out there.
Someone help us. Although if we learn too much, we're going to have to come up with a new introduction.
Who know...
A little bit
about our legal system.
7 things about our legal system.
That's funny. So
interesting.
But I feel like I'm going to keep checking because I want to see if he got parole, or if he got help on the inside, or if Kyle came back, or if Kyle took over his body, because sometimes that happens.
Right.
So.
I don't know. I feel like the court didn't officially accept his diagnosis if they still put him in prison for rape.
Yeah. Well, I think it's because he
just admitted to it.
Yeah, he said, I did that, but I didn't kill them.
But I still feel like that's enough of a disability that maybe you wouldn't...
It also made me mad because if you're going to plead, insanity, I feel like that should require a bunch of tests.
Sure.
I need to know that you're insane.
There's not, a lot of that kind of stuff. There's not a blood test or a brain scan.
Yeah,
it's all just opinions of
like that one guy who was just always said that they were killers.
Dr. Death. Yeah. No, he's incurable. Send him to the chair.
Yeah,
every time.
This poor guy would have got that.
Yeah.
But so as soon as I find out anything, I'm gonna say it. So I'm gonna leave this one a little unsolved.
Yeah. So mine actually is a little unsolved too. But it's really interesting.
Okay. Yeah. I got scared for some reason. I don't know why.
No, it's, everybody's locked up, but there could be changes coming up. All right. So, and speaking of updates, I still don't have an update on the skeletal remains.
I drove that road last night and it was freaking me out. I was like,
I'm going to be a skeleton.
Yep.
No, no update yet.
Mm-mm.
So, I don't know.
They're waiting for the DNA to come back.
Yeah, it's taking forever.
Yep, 6 to 8 weeks. I keep checking my email.
You keep checking
because I did the 23andMe thing.
I'm like,
and it's taking forever.
Do you have an email notification set up for this?
Oh my god, that'd be crazy. That'd be scary. I don't even think that's illegal.
Just when the family gets notified, notify me too.
Yep.
I don't really have any connection to the case. I just want to know. Okay, so mine starts. I'm going to tell it out of order.
Okay.
Because I think that's the way it makes the most sense.
Okay.
So, September 25th, 2016.
Okay.
Which is why we don't have...
somebody's birthday. Go ahead.
It's somebody's birthday?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's always somebody's birthday.
Somebody I know's birthday.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Now I'm totally off track. Okay.
Sorry.
September 25th, 2016, which is why we don't have an end answer, like how this is going to end up yet, because it hasn't been very long.
Yeah.
Carl Smith goes before a judge in Chicago, and he says, I'm here to confess to a crime that I committed that he was wrongly accused of. And the he in that sentence is Kevin Duggar, his twin brother. His identical twin brother.
Oh. Wait, how do they have different last names?
So Kevin took his mother's maiden name at some point as an adult and changed his last name to match her. So I don't really know what their father, there wasn't a whole lot of backstory about their family. It really didn't matter. It was a rough situation. They're identical twins. They grew up in a really gangy neighborhood. They joined a gang. Most of this has to do with gang violence.
That's Chicago.
There we go. So Kevin Duggar, I'm assuming it could be Duggar. I really don't know. Was arrested and convicted for shooting 2 people in 2003. One of them died.
Wow.
So Kevin and Carl are identical twins, and same haircut, same clothes, would always go around pretending to be each other, had the same street name. They both used the street name Twin. So you couldn't distinguish between them. And so anyway, the problem with Carl coming forward and confessing to this murder that Kevin is in prison for is that Carl was already in prison, sentenced to 99 years.
Oh my God.
Because he, in 2006, I think it was, broke into a home to rob it with some other people, and 2 people ended up shot, including a 6-year-old.
Oh.
So, and they both lived. So that was good at least. But
very traumatic still.
Yes, really horrible. So he had, right before this confession in court, he had appealed and lost his appeal, his 4th appeal or something like that. So there was no chance he's going to get out. He's going to be there for the rest of his life.
Okay.
So by confessing to this other murder, he doesn't have anything to lose. He's not going to get more time or worse time.
Do you think that's why he did it though?
So that's what prosecutors say. Is they're like, oh, well, he's just trying to get his brother out. He can't get himself out of prison.
Yeah.
He's going to be there forever. He's just trying to do a favor for his brother. So here are the details of the case. In 2003, a gunman dressed in black shot into a group of 3 people. It was Antoine Carter, Ronnie Bolden, and a girl who was 16 named Monique Boykins. Antoine Carter was shot and died at the hospital. Ronnie Bolden was shot and survived.
Okay.
And later pointed the finger at Twin, which we'll come back to that. And then Monique was not shot, and it turns out she didn't see who had done the shooting, but she originally told police that she knew who it was. And then at the trial, she said, well, actually, I didn't, but Bolden told me to say it was.
Okay.
So they decided... So when Bolden finally came forward, and it was months later before he came forward, he said that it was Duggar, that it was Twin, actually, is what he said, because Twin was their street name.
Oh, okay.
And they said even that they would just pretend to be each other. They just acted like one person, like one entity.
I never understood that with twins. But everyone always, if you ask a twin, they always dress the same. They always act the same. They always do the same things. Right. And they're like, oh, it's a twin thing. And I'm I'll never understand that because I'm not a twin. Right. That's just so weird to me. I would want to be my own person.
Yeah. Well, apparently these guys dressed exactly identically until 8th grade. Dang. And then after that, very similarly, always the same haircut, always hanging out with the same people. They would impersonate each other to get out of trouble or to get things done or whatever else. So... And they, some identical twins grow up and they look different. They have a different build or a different... Yeah. These guys don't. They're still, even after being in separate prisons for years, they look identical.
That's crazy.
So...
I wonder if they send each other, letters, hey, I lost 5 pounds, so you got to get on that.
Right.
I'd be like, shit.
I just got a new haircut. It looks like this. I wish I could send you a picture, but I'm in prison.
Yeah. It's
this is how you need to get your haircut.
Yeah. He's drawing a picture.
Right. Here's the little stick figure, and then the mustache goes like this. So, Kevin Duggar, at the time, actually both of the twins, obviously, were members of a gang and these gangs have the strangest, I don't know anything about gangs. Like,
Yeah.
I can name 3 or 4 gangs. Well, now I can name 2 more.
Oh.
The conservative vice lords.
Never heard of that one.
Right. It seems like a very strange thing to name. It's not very badass. Conservative vice lords.
All right.
And they were a rival gang of the Black P Stones. But they were mostly just called Blackstones. It's just the letter P, not like P.
P. Oh, okay.
Right. Or like P.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the victims were all Blackstones gang members. So that's why they got shot. Right. Bolden was shot 3 times, but he didn't die. Mm-hmm. And after a couple of months, he identified the gunman as Twin, which was the street name that was used by both of them. Yeah. The reason he waited a couple of months to identify the person is because he was going to handle it himself. And then I guess after a couple of months, he hadn't handled it himself, so he decided to cooperate with the police.
Yep.
So Smith, at this hearing, testified, and he's not the one that was arrested and convicted for the murder. Mm-hmm. We was acting as one, testified Smith. Where I was, he was, acting like each other. He pretended to be me. I pretended to be him. So Bolden the victim was shown a photo lineup and asked to pick out the man that shot him. And he identified Duggar. But to be fair, Smith wasn't in the lineup. So his photo wasn't in there. So it wasn't like he had both twins to choose from and he could say it was definitely that one. But for his recollection, looking at those pictures, yeah, that guy definitely would have looked the most like the guy that shot him, whether it was him or not. I mean, it may have been him. It may be they have the right people in prison for the right crimes. But assuming that they don't, that's one of the things that the defense is saying is not fair. Yeah. Another witness, so Monique Boykins, at trial finally said, oh yeah, Bolden told me to identify Duggar, and I hadn't actually seen him, but he said, oh, he's definitely the one that shot me. You can tell the police that he shot me.
Oh, okay.
After the murder, they were looking for Duggar after he'd been identified, and he was stopped by police. Mm-hmm. And the police asked him to identify himself. He just identified himself as Kevin Smith, as his brother, and they let him go.
Oh my God.
So they look a ton alike and got away with that kind of thing all the time. It's just second nature to be like, oh, well, I'm not, who you're looking for. And they said even at this trial where Smith came forward and said, oh, I did it, that the only way that anyone could tell them apart in the courtroom is because they had on different color prison uniforms because they're being kept at different prisons. One of them was like this sort of pale gray blue, and the other one was this sort of pale green gray. Like they almost identical. And then you can also tell, so they had like their, not mug shots, but like pictures from outside the courtroom or whatever. Mm-hmm. They have the same haircut, and then they have the same facial hair, except one of them, his is a little bit more square and the other one's is a little bit more round. Like they really do look like the same person.
So if one wants to get a tattoo, technically the other one would have to get the same exact tattoo, the same exact spot. You know what I mean? Because they can do, if you're in jail, I saw this on Live PD, she did a tattoo search. Oh, and they have this whole database, and then because this girl was giving her the wrong name, and she kept saying she didn't remember her name, she didn't know it. Oh my gosh. And she was just like, you're bullshitting me right now. Like, give me your name. And she was just like, I really don't remember it. I have to write it down. Yeah. So she was just like, yeah, all right. She was like, okay, tattoo, left, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then within seconds, it came up. Yeah. And she was just
they document all that kind of stuff.
I know. So I was like, dang. I said, that's crazy. So now I'm thinking, if you're going to act like your twin, you have to get the same tattoo in the same spot.
Right. Yeah, they'd have to.
It'd have to be identical.
Which, it didn't mention that either of them were inked. I feel like if you're in a gang that you'd have often comes with the... Yeah. So, but if they're in the same gang, they could have the same tattoos in the same places.
Same everything.
Plus, for this... The mistaken identity was with the identification of the guy that got shot, of the victim. So... if he didn't see a tattoo in the dark, it
wouldn't really matter.
It wouldn't. Yeah, it doesn't make any difference. It's not like they can't tell which brother is which now. Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Anyway,
sorry.
No, you're fine. So Duggar testified Duggar, the one who's in prison for the murder, testified that he had asked his brother if he'd been the gunman, and Smith had denied it. And this was back before the initial trial in the early 2000s. And then in 2013, Smith wrote a letter to Duggar from his prison to the other prison, which...
I don't think that's allowed, is it?
It's not in Virginia.
Okay.
I know because one thing that people do to get around it is they will write a letter to somebody in another prison, send it home to a family member, and then send it back in.
Yeah.
You have to be very tricky with that because that's not allowed either. So the letter has to make it sound like you're not in prison. So
yeah,
it's quite possible they sent it to the mom. Like the mom has been there for her kids the whole time.
Oh, okay.
So he wrote a letter to Duggar, and he confessed to being the murderer. He's like, I have to get this off my chest. It's been killing me for all these years. I'm the one who killed those people that you are now in jail for. He didn't hear anything back. So the next, months later, he wrote another letter. And finally, the brother, Duggar, wrote back, and he was like, you need to talk to your lawyers and, sign a confession and get me out of jail. This isn't fair. So in 2014, he and his lawyers sat down. He signed a confession saying that he had done this. And this is the story that he tells. This is what he says happened. So his story now is that he had thrown a party the night of the murder. At some point, he and a friend left to go buy pot. He got in the friend's car, or we got out of the friend's car, and he walked across the street, I guess, to where his dealer was or whatever, and he was confronted by Carter and Bolden, the members of the opposing gang, and he shot Carter, and he went down. And then he shot Bolden as Bolden was, running away.
Oh, okay.
And then he ran back to the car where his friend was, got in the car. He was like, drive, go to the liquor store, let's go. And it was really unclear whether or not the friend had seen anything. And apparently they didn't call him as a witness in this trial. So I'm not, that struck me as kind of odd and suspicious. That seems like a very good witness.
Yeah.
Let's call the guy who was in the car and say, okay, which brother was it?
Unless someone killed him off.
Sure, or he's willing to lie or whatever else. So he went back to the party, he changed his clothes, and then he got his brother and they went out clubbing, and it was just like nothing had happened. Smith had gone to his brother's trial, but he didn't say anything. He said he was too scared, and he figured it was the police's job to catch him, and he wasn't going to turn himself in, and that his brother would be cleared because he obviously didn't do it. But that didn't happen, and Duggar was convicted of first-degree murder and given 54 years in prison. And then the other thing that he said is that between the time that they arrested Duggar and the time that he was convicted, Smith was very careful to never be in the same room with his brother. He was in the courtroom the one day and sat in the back and kind of hid, but he didn't want to be in the same room as his brother and the police, or his brother and a witness, because he didn't want anyone to make the connection that it could have been him, that they were identical twins, or to be like, oh no, wait, it isn't this guy. That's the guy. And so he wouldn't come in when the police asked to talk to him, and he wouldn't come around the...
What a shithead.
Yeah. Or not. It could all be a lie.
Well, I guess
it could
that's
very
true.
Easily just be a ploy. So they hadn't decided yet whether or not they were going to give Duggar another trial, or whether they just really didn't believe him. The thing they have going for him with the other trial is that the evidence he was convicted on was very thin. They had one eyewitness who admitted to lying, one eyewitness who picked him out of a photo lineup, but without being given both brothers' pictures. That was basically it.
Holes.
Right. They're in rival gangs and it had some other issues, and they're definitely both criminals, and there wasn't DNA evidence or fingerprints or a gun left behind or a security camera or anything like that. There wasn't any.
See, I feel like if I was the brother that's already in jail, you know what I mean? Already there, and I was the one to do it, I would definitely be like, no, don't lock him up for nothing. I already have my sentence. I'm already going to live the rest of my life here. I did it. Whatever. If you were
Smith.
Yeah. Yeah. If I was the brother in jail already and I knew I didn't do it, I would definitely not take, you know what I mean? I feel like some brothers would be like, well, I'm already here. Let me just give him another shot at life. No. I'd be like, you fucking killed those people. You could sit your ass in jail just like I have to.
Well, so when they were talking about it in one of the articles, it made it sound like Duggar didn't know for sure that Smith was the one who had killed them. He knew, like, assuming that the whole story is true, right? Yeah. He knew it wasn't him, but it must have been somebody who resembled him.
Yeah.
And he'd asked his brother, and his brother said, well, no, it wasn't me either. And so he maybe just figured it was some other guy. I mean, it was dark, it was night, it was in a neighborhood where it was normal for gangs to shoot at each other. And so it could have been anybody. But I don't know.
Yeah.
The mom definitely believes that Smith is the one that committed the murders and that Duggar must be innocent. But at the same time, her husband had just died of a heart attack. I remembered that, by the way. They apparently grew up in I don't know. The father was at least around, or maybe it was a stepfather. But either way, he had just died of a heart attack.
Oh, okay.
And both of her kids are locked up for the rest of at least her life.
Oh, yeah.
Really, they're 38. He's got 54 years, probably the rest of all of their lives. Yeah. And this is her only chance to get any of her family back. So
she's willing to sacrifice some truth.
Yeah.
So I don't blame her, though. I understand that.
Yeah.
So I think it's like your mom right to defend your kids.
Yeah.
Even though probably deep down inside you know that they're really shitty.
Well, I mean, either way, I think they're both kind of shitty.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I would love to believe, and I know this is not the case, but I'd love to believe that people who don't put themselves in situations like that don't end up in prison for crimes they didn't commit. I know that's not the case, but
still.
I think they were at least involved in violent gangs and other crimes, and so I'd be interested in talking to the friend. If I were the DA
driver,
or
the getaway car,
assuming that he could identify, like, separate the twins, I don't know.
Unless he just like remembers who got in the car with him.
Well, right, but would he?
But maybe they just gave a wrong name.
Right, if they went
all the
by
time.
twin and they acted as each other all the time their entire lives, like maybe even their friends wouldn't know. I don't know.
I feel like that happens.
So anyway, before you do your next one, I just want to talk about this book that I just found.
Oh, okay.
So we're sponsored by Audible.
Yes.
And all of our fans can get a free month and a free audiobook on Audible by going to audibletrial.com/crimecrazy. And they have like 180,000 different books. Yeah, more you could ever
plenty
read
to pick from.
Right, in a lifetime. And you can listen on anything. I think that I read there were like 50 devices that you could listen on.
Dang.
I can't even name 50 devices.
I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, I can name 4. Like, right. I don't know what you want from me.
So this book that I just was looking up, I was looking up some true crime books, and this is a memoir. It's called The Fact of a Body, or The Fact of a Body. And it's apparently about a lawyer who works on a death penalty case.
Oh.
And she's really, really against the death penalty.
Okay.
Both of her parents are lawyers, and like she has this sort of, she just knows where she stands. But as soon as she starts researching it, she's like, oh my God, the killer, I need him to die. I have this like physical need for us to like put him down.
Oh my God.
And so she starts researching, and it sort of brings up things about her past. And so it's kind of a side by side, like this case that she's researching, and then like how it relates to her. And then apparently it pulls in some other people that have, different relationships with it. Anyway, It's fascinating. And I have 2 more books in the series that I'm reading right now, and then I can download another book. And it may be this one because it looks
that
really
sounds awesome.
So,
and like twisty,
yes, yeah.
Because if you're so if you have a good stance on something like a little, not like a little case, obviously it's probably a big case, is not going to change your whole life of feeling like this.
Right, one case that doesn't affect you
something must
directly.
have really happened.
Yeah, well, and I'm interested to know what it is in her past that makes her change so much. But I'm also interested because the more I think about the death penalty, the more I think I just really can't support it. Not because I don't necessarily believe that some people deserve to die, but because I just don't believe that our justice system does a good enough job finding the right person, and you can't undo death.
Yeah.
So, and I think our justice system probably does a pretty terrible job finding the right person.
And I hate
most
when
of the
they
time.
will sentence you to like 60 plus years and then the death penalty, and then we pay for you to sit there your whole life,
appeal after appeal after appeal.
Exactly. And then they're like, well, now we'll kill you. It's like,
it takes forever. If you get sentenced to death, it takes forever.
But then when I read stories that were like a while ago, it was like, in 2 weeks from Tuesday, that's when you're gonna hang.
Right.
Like, they had it so fast.
But then there's also this, we've each done one now where the wrong person was put to death.
Yep.
So
yeah.
So yeah, I think that would be really fascinating. So that could be your free book if you sign up for Audible.
Right.
audibletrial.com/crimecrazy.
Guys, not gonna lie, I did it, so.
Yeah. My mom has too, I think. I think she was saying that she hadn't, she'd maybe had an Audible account years and years ago.
Yeah.
But has just gotten back into listening to stories and podcasts.
I know I did many smartphones ago, but I don't know anything about how I logged in or anything.
Right.
Like that, so.
Yeah, I wish that I could sign up for a free month. I already pay for mine. They won't let me have it. Anyway, all right. So, what is
my short little baby story
that doesn't involve a tiger?
Nope. This one involves food.
Okay.
Even better.
Even better than a tiger.
So I named this one because I always name them something funny on my book, because actually writing all this stuff down is like sad after a while. That's why I did all my punny ones. So the last one was just Zoo Man because he already had a name, but I kind of liked saying it. So
he had a name.
This one
enjoyed it.
I named 5 guys, 2 patties, 1 guy.
Okay. What?
I'll say it again for the ones in the back. 5 guys, 2 patties.
Are the patties like
patties?
Like Patty, like this is a girl's name?
Patties. Patties.
Okay, like beef patties?
And 1 guy.
Wait, 5 guys like the restaurant?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I'm so ready. Okay, go ahead.
That's why I was like 5 guys, 2 patties, 1 guy.
Yikes.
It worked out. One time I took a picture of Lindsay and I went and got 5 guys, and I took a picture of it and I said, why do I need a boyfriend when I have 5 guys?
That's what I thought you were talking about at first. I was like, okay,
I love my life.
5 guys. 2
I was really bitter then. But
big showdown, everyone dies.
So this was just last year in DC.
Okay.
That a real life hamburglar allegedly breaks into a 5 Guys restaurant. So they named him the real life hamburglar because why would you not if this is the case?
Did he break in to steal hamburgers?
So he broke in and made himself hamburgers.
Wait, what?
That's why it was 2 patties.
Oh my god!
So you know you can like layer your burgers at 5 Guys.
Yeah.
Well, he wanted a double layer, so he slipped in kind of behind a delivery driver who did like a drop off of like, I don't know, potatoes, whatever it was. Dropped
so
them
this
off.
was outside of store hours.
This was early in the morning. This guy is delivering stuff. He kind of slipped in.
He's been high all night.
And then
he can't handle it anymore.
When he was alone, he went in, and you could see him on this security camera, kind of poking around, getting ingredients out, fired up the grill.
Oh my gosh.
The whole time, he has like the mom phone neck. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
he's talking on the phone.
Yeah, like hold it with the shoulder, but the neck's all like... So he's chit-chatting on the phone, and he's literally making himself burgers.
I just casually
he was just walking around. He was poking through everything, like a little bit of this, a little bit of that, whatever.
He's gonna have the perfect burger. He's got everything to choose from,
and he's doing it right too. He put the burgers down, and then he put the buns on the grill, but in the back, so they toast lightly. He knew what he was doing,
right?
So.
He's actually an employee. He thought he was starting his shift. He was really confused.
So they have, obviously, this video camera of him, like, doing all of this, and... Man, I was doing so good.
Sometimes when I edit these and you yawn, I sit there and yawn.
I'm so sorry.
And then I have to cut it out, so I have to listen to the same part over and over again. And so I just yawn and yawn.
Sorry. Okay. So... you see him walking around, and you see this, like, security shot of him, and he's, like, almost looking at the camera, and it's really bad quality because it's, like a still frame of the video. Right. But he's just, there was no eagerness to him. He was going to take his time. He also took a bottle of water. So I was thinking, I'm like, he was literally just hungry and thirsty.
Was he homeless? Was he...
I don't know.
Out of his mind? Was he...
They still haven't found him.
Oh my God.
We gotta think it's in DC. Case. And there's probably... I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of homeless community there. Or, I'm not saying, like, bad people, but DC has a very high crime rate. Just no one talks about it.
Well, sure. And it's a big city with lots of different people. Like...
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So... They said that this is, like a level 2, I don't know, I guess not, it's like kind of like a breaking and entering. Yeah. It's kind of like burglary. Yeah. So kind of a mixture of both. But it is punishable it is punishable by 2 to 15 years in prison. Can you imagine going away to prison for 2 burgers for 15 years?
I mean, you can't break into a restaurant and use their food and cook it and eat it and make yourself at home.
Yeah.
But if you're going to commit a crime, that's a really little
thing.
Harmless.
Yeah.
Mostly
he didn't
harmless.
Steal any money. The only other thing he stole was the bottle of water and the ingredients to make his cheeseburger.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So.
He had to at least be a little bit altered or mentally ill to think that he could
I don't know who he was talking on the phone to.
Right.
It was early in the morning, like the delivery driver just left or whatever, and he's just chit-chatting. I'd be like, what are you doing? And he's, just making...
I'm in a Five Guys.
Yeah, I'm just making a burger. What did you want on it again? Like...
It's 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah, so I don't know who he's talking to, but I would have been like, get your ass out of there.
What are you doing? Get out.
Yeah, they probably have cameras, you idiot.
It's actually like his pregnant wife or girlfriend.
Yeah,
and she's like, okay,
I
extra pickles.
Yeah. And that's why he's looking around like through the ingredients. I need the pickles. So if they find him, I hope he doesn't get 15 years.
Oh my gosh, that would be so tragic. I imagine that if he got 15 years, there'd be a backstory. There'd be some other crimes in his past. It couldn't be a first time thing. That's so funny.
That was my
But
funny
at the
story.
same time, like, we're talking about how crazy it is that he was calm and collected, but he got away with it.
Yeah.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah. I mean, it did happen last year. I think I said in April.
Right.
So, I mean, it's been a whole year and they have yet to find him.
They're not going to find him.
No, they're not. They're not actively looking for someone who went in and, and the guy at Five Guys, like the manager, owner, I don't know if they're franchised or not.
Right.
Is probably like, what the fuck? Like,
did he clean up after himself?
I don't know. I didn't see that much of the footage. But it would have been funny if he did. Like, they probably never even known.
If he did and no one reviewed the tapes, they'd never know.
Never know. Yeah.
Wow. That's really funny.
Yep. Unless the owner was like, these stupid employees didn't clean the kitchen up again. I'm going to check to see who closed last night. And all of a sudden, cue guy. Or they're doing inventory and they're like, we're missing 1 bottle of water.
And
go to the tapes.
2 hamburger patties and 3 pickle slices.
That's a crazy owner.
That would be a crazy
I'd be like,
take
it. I don't care. Go away.
Right. Here, let me give you $5.
He stole them less than $10, including the water.
Don't Five Guys have a bunch of peanuts? No, they have the big... Oh, do they have peanuts?
That's like the free peanuts everywhere.
Yeah.
My ass is always like...
Well, it's like Texas Roadhouse.
The buns?
The peanuts everywhere.
They don't do that anymore.
What?
They don't have... Like, they have them on the table, but you can't, like, throw them anywhere you want now.
Last time we were there, they had them out in that little waiting area. Like the big thing of it.
Oh, yeah. You could do it there, but like people were doing it at the tables and stuff. Oh. And that's why they started putting like a little bucket for it on the table. Cause they were like,
if you're at the table, it's like, a little crappy.
Yeah. Yeah. So. True. But anyway, off peanuts, onto the story.
That was an amazing story.
That was, yeah. I just wanted to find a little funny, silly one.
That is lighthearted.
I liked
no one
it.
Died.
Yeah.
No gang violence.
And there was food.
And there was food. And now I need a hamburger. Let's see. It's
I love Five Guys.
Not dinner time and not lunchtime. So.
Linner.
I'm going to have to figure this out. Okay, so. Before we go, in lieu of shout-outs this week, I thought I would talk about 2 pods.
Oh, yeah.
2 pods a day. So we're taking part in the 2 pods a day campaign. Really excited. It starts in a week.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know which day we are, so we'll have to just watch every day. But basically, it's a campaign that aims to introduce podcast listeners to 2 independent podcasts every day. So they have their whole month planned out. All of the podcasts that are involved help each other out, and we do reviews and leave feedback and that kind of thing, do critiques. But it's going to be the whole month of August, and they are going to showcase all different kinds of podcasts. So if you're into true crime, there'll be some of that. If you're into storytelling, there's some of that, news, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you can find more shows like ours or more shows completely different from ours by following 2 Pods a Day on Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah.
And they have already got everything planned, and they've started advertising for their campaign. I think it's going to be awesome.
Lindsay, that's what you should do, because you're asking about podcasts. Just do that.
There you go. Just look at that one.
And then you'll see all these options. You can either pass or remember the name.
Right. Well, and there should be a little review or critique with each one, and then we'll be on there at one point.
Yeah.
Everybody has to like it and share it and send us smiley faces and love. So anyway, so that's super exciting. And then also don't forget, now that you have listened to the whole episode, because you forgot, really quick, snap a picture of yourself listening to the end of this. And tag it with Crime Crazy 20, and we will send out some stickers.
Yeah.
After August 15th, but soon after August 15th.
Well, yeah. But then if we have to list them, we can, as soon as we get them, we can send them.
We can just go. That's right. All right. So anything else that you want to add?
I think we covered everything.
I think we did. I'm so glad that we're back in podcasting again.
Yeah.
All of our vacations and trips and things were great, but
yeah,
I'm ready to be on a routine again.
I know. I'm going to try to stick to it, I promise. I promise. But the way it's looking, we might have to learn how to Skype podcast.
Well, I Skype podcast because I do Shortlisted.
Yeah.
It's my other, podcast, by the way.
You have some knowledge already of this.
It's not bad.
Okay.
But I do prefer to sit with you on my couch and chat and watch you try to show the microphone your fingers.
I always do. Like today with the spider, I was like, it's not this big.
Right. And she's got it right up against the mic.
Like little pinchy fingers. But, well, we will be back next week, and
until then, no breaking into Five Guys.
Please don't break in. Just walk in and pay like a normal person.
It's not that expensive. And then somebody else will make it for you.
Yeah.
And you don't have to get up at the crack of dawn.
True.
So, also no gang violence.
No, please don't. And do not say you have a split personality if you don't.
And if you do, don't commit murder anyway.
That's true.
And perhaps maybe seek treatment. All right. So, see you next week.
Wait. Don't end up on next week's episode.
Oh, yes.
We should have just said that.
Instead of
all the things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Crime Crazy. We hope that you enjoyed listening as much as we enjoyed making it. If you like our show, please tell a friend, or better yet, subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes or your favorite podcasting app. We really appreciate your feedback and want to give you a shout out on the next episode if you leave us a review. If you leave us a review somewhere other than iTunes, just let us know. If you loved our show, consider donating to our Patreon. We have lots of great surprises that we want to share with anyone who supports us. And let's be real, it's really just an excuse to send you cool stuff. Thanks again, and remember, even though we really have no idea what we're talking about, we'll be back next week to talk about it all over again.